Welcome to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. Now, for your early morning look at financial news and activity in audio and video form, here's the Morning Market Mimosa.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Investing Podcast presented by Tusk Media. This is the Morning Market Mimosa. We've said it before, but this is a little bit business. It's a little bit fun. If we were less classy, we'd probably call this the Morning Market Mullet, but we're going with the Mimosa theme. Alas, just coffee for today. It's Thursday. Maybe on Friday we'll break out a little bit of OJ, a little champagne, have some fun with it, but for now, we're keeping things pretty simple. Want to jump into today's stories. Real quickly, the futures for the day are down on the U.S. equity basis. So NASDAQ, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Averages, all futures are down. Not a whole lot, down between 10 and 15 basis points kind of across the board, hovering around 12 basis points for the most part. So not necessarily a bleak opening to the day, but there are a number of big stories in the market. We touched on OPEC and their meeting yesterday during the Investing Happy Hour, and we'll certainly check back in on that story later during the day. We've also got a big ECB meeting, some announcements coming from there. But we want to start off today with a large industry discussion, which really has to do with what's called the Fiduciary rule. So up until recently, if you managed a retirement plan for a client, you were held to a standard of suitability. So basically, you had to come in and decide, are these investments suitable for a client? That standard has been raised, and this is affecting literally trillions and trillions of dollars. That standard's now been raised to, are the investments you're making on behalf of a client's retirement account in the best interest? So as you might kind of pick up on, there's a difference between the word suitable and the set of words in the best interest. And that's really kind of ruffling a lot of feathers on Wall Street, ruffling a lot of feathers for people who are investment advisors. Here at Narwhal, we're not particularly concerned about it. We'd like to think every investment decision we're making is in the best interest of clients, not just merely suitable. But there is a lawsuit being filed right now by huge groups. It's going to be a big headline today, and honestly, it's going to be one that doesn't make our industry look very good. To kind of bring this into relative terms, it's morning time, I like to eat. The difference between suitability and best interest. So, suitability, I'm hungry, I got to get food. Stopping by the Red-Eyed Mule local Marietta establishment, getting a fried chicken biscuit, some mule tater tots, all that, that's suitable because I'm hungry and I need to eat. But is that really in my best interest when I could have an egg white omelet, maybe some veggies thrown in there, cup of black coffee, nothing added? Probably not. So that's kind of the difference we're talking about here. Something might be suitable for you, but it may still not be in your best interest. But that's the discussion, and it's going to be framed in different ways throughout the day, depending on which party you hear about. Unfortunately, this is going to be something that, again, drags on for time, quite a while. I'm anticipating probably months, if not years. And even worse is it's going to kind of leave a black eye on a lot of people in the industry. I would tell you, if you're listening to this podcast or watching these videos, ask your financial advisor if they have a fiduciary standard to you or if they simply have a suitability requirement. That's a question you can ask the people you're working with. Before you make any assumptions, ask them that. Moving on to some individual stock news. Apple stock is down a little bit. Goldman Sachs downgraded their price target from $136 to $124. This may or may not be a huge lasting impact, but right now the stock's down around 1.5%. Interestingly enough, the stock's trading under $100, so a price target of $124 obviously implies quite a bit of upside, around 25-26%, depending on what price you're looking at with Apple in the real time. The ECB is meeting right now, basically came out, lots of headlines that you hear from the European Central Bank, and you've been hearing the same ones for years. So you're hearing about Greece, you're hearing about corporate debt, you're hearing about interest rates. All these themes continue to be in play. The big story thus far, especially as it relates to American markets in our view of the Federal Reserve's upcoming potential action, is that the ECB did not change interest rates. So interest rates remain unchanged coming out of the meeting today on Thursday. Will that have an impact on what happens when the Federal Reserve meets again in June? We'll see. But as the Federal Reserve has said so poignantly, they might possibly take action, and that action might possibly be an interest rate hike. So certainly a story to keep an eye on. We'll be back in a little while with a stock market power lunch. In the meantime, make sure you hit subscribe, like our podcast. We're on Stitcher Radio now, so if you're listening on that app, you can go ahead and give us a like. We're on their front page right now, so we're pretty fired up about that. We're going to be getting on iTunes shortly. Once we are, please find us, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get all our content as soon as it's available. We'll be back soon.
Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinions, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are our professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinions will sometimes be flat out wrong due to a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available at the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon written request.